It's a crisis. We're not saving enough. There's a personal savings rate crisis. Ah! I've done videos like this before, but now I'm going to show you the actual real numbers and tell you to pipe down. It's going to be just fine, and I'll show you why. I mean, look, you can go on YouTube, you can go on I just did Google. I said personal savings crisis, and all kinds of stuff shows up. It's awesome. You just literally might want to jump off the Ben Franklin Bridge head first after you sliced up your arms into a bunch of starving great white sharks who are looking up at you going, blah, 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 blah. And you'd be like, yes, the personal savings crisis is such, I've got to just end it right now. And then hopefully you do that. You don't do that until you watch this video, because you'll say, oh, that's it? Yeah, all right, let's dive into it. So we're going to start with a Washington Post article from February. Does America have a personal savings crisis? And what do you think the answer is? Of course we do. This is from Washington Post from Michelle Singletary. Americans save so little that there is an annual week-long campaign to encourage people to put aside cash for financial emergencies. If faced with an unexpected $400 expense, 4 in 10 adults said they would not have the money to cover it. To get the funds, they'd have to sell something or borrow. I mean, okay. There was a time in the 70s when the savings rate in the U.S. was in double digits. I'll show you here in just a second. But the most recent figures from the BLS, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, puts it at 6%, the lowest level since the 2008 crisis. The drop is part of a 60-year downward trend in the personal savings rate, according to BEA, the Bureau of Economic Analysis. Oh my goodness, what could be the corresponding reason for that? Let's see. The campaign to get you to save more, managed by the Consumer Federation of America, includes webinars, social media discussions, YouTube talks, and savings challenges. Life is full of emergencies, says Carol Kaplan. Your car breaks down, your refrigerator dies, blah, blah, blah. I just don't care. Okay. Americans struggle to save for a number of reasons. It's difficult to put money aside when you're earning only enough to cover basic necessities. But remember, according to the survey, 6 in 10 still had covers the expenses in an emergency account to cover $400. 4 in 10 did not, without having to sell something or borrow. I don't think that's a crisis. But let's see. Here's someone I don't care about that. Let's see. Even while diligently paying down debt, you still need savings. Otherwise, in the face of emergency, your debt could grow. My explanation still to make math. Okay, my money. I agree. Okay, right here. I agree in part, this Michelle, that you shouldn't park thousands of dollars in a low-interest savings account when you have credit card debt. But having savings is like wearing a life jacket. Even if you're a great swimmer, you might not need it, but you're grateful to have it. Make it a goal to accumulate $1,000 in emergency fund, and once you hit that target, stop saving so you can attack debt. Then we talked about the single parent of 3. The children's father had a stroke, leaving him unable to lend financial support. And then she had a broken water line. She had to take on debt to fix it. Okay. So, all right. So is there a savings crisis? It doesn't even let you have comment. I bet there is tons of comments that said there is. Let's see if it even lets you see comments on here. I guess not. Oh, there we go. Banks routinely charge 1620. Michelle has a site. Okay, I don't understand. Okay, I love the holier than thou folks pointing their fingers at everyone else. If you make $25K a year, unless you're not paying rent, your parents $400K. Okay, whatever. All right. So, and you can go and see more things, but let's watch this. This is from the St. Louis Fed, published just the other day, April 29, 2019. Here's from 1959, the personal savings rate was 11.3%. I'm not going to look at these huge spikes, but here's 1974 is 13.8%. All right, now here is 1991, 8.9%. You can see this slow decline. Here's in 2005 is 2.9%, and the reason for that, I gotta be, is because people were buying up real estate that was priced incredibly high. And here we are back to 6.5%. So basically for the last, basically for the last 1995 till today, 25 years, we've been at, basically around 6%. We've been right there for the last 25 years or so. So let's go back to 1990, 8.7. Okay. So does that say anything? Does that say there's a crisis? All right, let's look at my favorite, the taxes on Social Security and FICA. So remember, we looked at 1990, did we not? 1990. What happened in 1990? That's the highest when they raised the taxes for Social Security for you and your employer. All right, so they raised it to 6.2%. So I want to show you. This is from the Social Security Medicare tax rates. All right, so Social Security Medicare tax rates as a percentage of taxable earnings. And what we'll see is going back to 1960, which is when the Fed, St. Louis Fed, started this. We're at 10. We'll just say 10. 1960, we're at 10. What was the Social Security rate for each employee and employer? 1960, it was 3%. That was it. 3% for you and 3% for your employer. 6%. So we take our trusty calculator, right? This guy, and we say, okay, 6% here, because in 1960, you see, rates for employers and employers each, 3% for you, 3% for your employer. We go back to the St. Louis Fed, and we say, what was it in 1960? We'll just say 10%. So I take 10, and I add 6, and I get 16%. 16%. That would be our total personal savings rate. Does that make sense? All right, so let's go to 1980 now. And 1980 is 5.08, and this is just going to be for our Social Security. We're not looking at hospital insurance, which is your part of your FICA. So now in 1980, I take 5.08, I times that by 2, that gives us 10.16. Now we go to the Fed in 1980. Let's see where we are here. I'm just picking a number, 11.7. That's 1980. Yeah, that's pretty high. 11.7, 11.4, 10.9. So we'll say 11.5 plus 11.5. That's 21.66%. So 1980 was a good time for personal savings rate, much higher than it was in 1960. All right, so now let's go to 2000, and we'll see it's going to be 6.2 for you, 6.2 for your employer. So we take 6.2, we times that by 2, and if you don't need a trusty calculator, you know what that is, but there you go. 12.4 is what's being saved in Social Security, and that is in 2000. Let's go to 2000, and our personal savings rate is 5.2. So basically 20 years ago, 5.2 plus, 12.4. So it's 17.6 20 years ago in 2000. So now we fast forward, we still have 5.2 from the Fed, or from the 12.4 from you and your employer. And now it's in February of 2000, 6.5 in March. So we take 12.4 plus 6.5, it's 19%. So when you factor in Social Security, your personal savings rate is higher significantly than it's been in a long time, since 1980. It's higher than it was in 1960 when it was 16%. It's higher than it was in 2000. It's higher than it, and then it was a little bit lower than it was in 1980 when the personal savings rate was about 11.5. Plus, you only had to pay for Social Security 5.08%. So that's so again, the crisis, is it truly there? I don't think so. And you can even go back here. I mean, look, I'll show you. Let's see if I can go back to this lady's. Where is the? I guess I got rid of the. What happened to it? I guess I got rid of the article. All right, I don't know why I got. Oh, there it is. There's Merrick right here. So if we go back and we can click back here, and I'll show you. Why has this personal savings rate declined so dramatically? Economy is good, personal savings rate is bad, a crisis in saving, blah, blah, blah. So, look, you can read all this stuff. I just, before the crisis, the personal savings rate was trending upward. Following the crisis, there's a broad, blah, blah, blah. So there you go, my friends. There's no savings crisis. The savings crisis is not there. It's there if you don't look at Social Security, but not to look at Social Security as part of your retirement income is just stupid. I hate to say it. I get this a lot. People say, well, I don't think it's going to be there. And I mean, people who are on my side of the aisle politically, and the libertarian side, said, I don't trust Social Security. I don't trust the government. I don't think it's going to be there. I said, you're just making a mistake. When it comes to your tax planning, look at little Bessie. Isn't she great? I love her. Tickle, 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 tickle. When it comes to tax planning, not to use Social Security just doesn't make sense. All right. So anyway, don't sweat it. Don't worry. You are paying, if you have a job, you're paying 12.4%. Yeah, 12.4% towards your retirement just right out the gate. All right, we'll see you next time.